Hi, I'm going to do a really quick video on basically just answering the question of where they've been because it's been a crazy year. So a lot has happened, as I'm sure a lot of people can relate to, especially in the last, I feel like it's been a year at this point, honestly. So I'm going to talk about that, but I'm going to get into a more comfortable position, and because this is YouTube, I have to sit on my bedroom floor because that's how you know things are important and real. So I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I'm gonna do a quick rundown about basically where I've been the last few months, basically a year, and I'm also gonna promise you that I'm gonna do better and I'm gonna be better now. So basically in March of 2020, so this year, right when COVID hit, I had also made the decision that I was going to leave grad school. Which is great news because I cannot say that I've cried more, and I'm going to insert some clips of my time in grad school to prove it.
I seriously just so frustrated and annoyed, and I don't want to do this shit anymore. Can I just die? Like, that is so ideal at this point. This is stupid as fuck. It's so ghetto. It's so fucking ghetto.
Look, enough lights and good tears to get off the lighter from last night.
Like, look at my hair. Look at it. This is a clear example of my life right now. A fucking mess. It's a mess. Why do I need to know this whole infected for one exam? For one class. What in the fuck were they thinking? I can't do this shit.
So yeah, it was really bad and I was super miserable, and I think that deep down I knew that I didn't want to do it, but I was just like trying to find something to do because I'm somebody who likes to plan and wants to know what's next and needs to be in control. And so that was just not the case for this. That's not the case for my life in general, and so me trying to take control was just a terrible idea. Why is my bum look like that? Okay, better. That's better. It's not better, but we're just gonna keep it moving now. So I moved home in March, and then COVID hit. That kind of eliminated the whole idea of me going home and getting a job, so I just kind of sat at home for the first few months, which was very convenient because the things that happened next were absolutely insane, and I cannot make these things up, so please just bear with me. So when I got home, I originally was going to stay until about April when the quarter was over. However, I got a call about some family issues that I don't feel comfortable sharing this part in particular just because it is something that's super close, but I will say this because it needs to be said. Mental health is something that's real. It needs to be taken seriously, and all of the people who say mental health awareness and then persecute people and celebrities like Kanye West because of the way he acts in the media, you're faking. Bipolar disorder is real, and it's not always happy and then sad. It could be just you're normal and then manic, and that needs to be talked about, but I'm not going to talk about that in the video. I may talk about it later, but as of right now, I'm just going to leave it there. That was going on with one of my family members, and at the same time, my dad has been sick for a while, just in and out of the hospital since I was around 12 or 13, but he went into the hospital around April-ish. I think it was April 6th where he went into the hospital, and what basically happened was he went in for a simple thing and it got really bad. He ended up getting an infection in his blood, which we all know as sepsis, or maybe we don't all know, but that's basically what happened. And so we weren't sure how it was going to end. This was all during COVID, so we couldn't visit him either, which sucked. And so we were like we were sneaking through stuff through the window. It was like so funny, but like also very serious. He did recover. He ended up coming home, getting better, and was on a good track. There was another relapse in the mental health area in my family, and then my dad got sick again. And so I think that if I wasn't home, I don't know how that would have gone, but I am very blessed because I was there and I was able to help in the best way that I could. I'm not going to go into detail with this part either, but my mom was not at that house. Like, she doesn't live in Fayetteville where everybody else was. So I was just kind of, you know, like, taking care of everything else. What happened after that? So a few months passed by, and my dad goes in the hospital a few more times, and for the same thing, for infections and things of that nature. He gets better, and they think that they have fixed it, and up until, I guess, 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago, we thought everything was fine and everything was normal. He went into the hospital October 9th. Wow, this is crazy. It just seems like that was so long ago, or so, like, it was not. It was just like yesterday, and it was really a while ago. Anyways, he went into the hospital on the 9th, or he went to a routine doctor's appointment. He was just getting a checkup. They ended up wanting to admit him because he had some fluid on his lungs, which is normal because he also had heart failure, and they just wanted to pull the fluid off. When he got there, they discovered that he had a fever and chills. Obviously, in COVID, they wanted to admit him and try to get that fever down. It's only then that they discovered that sepsis was back, and this time it was just way worse. My dad, I remember when he first called me and told me he was in the hospital, I was at work, and so I just kind of ignored it. I was just like, oh, okay, what's going on? Like, do the boys need anything? Things of that nature. Just like normal routine things, because like I said, this has happened multiple times. I'm not going to get emotional, and you may think that there's something wrong with me. I'm still in somewhat of a shock, and I'm very like up and down, which is something that I'll talk about later, just like grief in general, but I'm just not going to cry in this video. Anyways, so I call him on Monday morning before I'm going into work just to check on the boys, make sure they don't need anything, and to see if he needs me to do anything while he's in the hospital. And I get down there, and it's not looking good, and the doctors come in and they say that, yeah, it's sepsis again, and there's not much we can do. And because he had already told them that he wanted to be on DNR, DNI, which is do not resuscitate, do not intubate. So no shocks, no compressions, and no tube down the throat for air and ventilating. The doctor says that we believe he's actively dying, which, if you don't know what that is, basically it means that you don't just like die in your sleep or anything like that, and it's not something that like just happens immediate, right? Like, that's how some people pass. That was not the case in his situation because it wasn't an infection. So the infection was just like coursing through his veins, infecting everything that it touched pretty much. So his body was shutting down a lot slower. And so active dying is a phase of death where it's like right before it happens. And sometimes it takes a few hours, sometimes it takes a few days. So that was just kind of like an up and down thing. He was very, like, sometimes he was lucid, sometimes he was unresponsive. It was just like really up and down, but I could tell that he wasn't all there, and I could tell that it was the end. For me, it was really hard for me to be in the room, to see him that way, because he's the strongest guy I know. And he was the best man I knew, and he was my best friend. And so for me, I just couldn't stay there. And he even like told me when he was still lucid, like when he was having that surge, that he didn't want me to see him that way. And so I tried to like go back to work and do everything that was like normal, like go on my normal day. I feel like I'm shortening and condensing everything else that has happened over these last few months, because these last few weeks have been just like the worst. Right now we're just going to talk about this to get it out of the way. And he ended up passing on Friday. With that being said, my brothers were living with my dad, and my mom lived in a different city, the same city that I currently live in. God had a plan, and so I just have to honor that and respect that and have faith in that. But my brothers ended up moving to where we live, so I live in Charlotte. I feel like it doesn't need to be a secret. I live in Charlotte, and so they live with me. One of them lives with me, the other one lives with my mom, and they're both here right now because I'm cool. They're not gonna agree with that, but that's how I feel. So yeah, that's where I've been. Life has been really freaking crazy. I got a job, and that was really great. My job is probably in total 10 minutes away from my church, which was the main reason that I chose Charlotte as a city that I moved to, because I wanted to be closer to my church. So that worked out great. COVID didn't help at all because like we just started going back to church, but it's fine because church came right in time for this girl. So I really enjoyed that, and I'm just like now getting back into the flow of life, as crazy as that sounds, just like settling in here and recording again and getting into like a set schedule. Yeah, that's where I've been. I'm gonna end the video here because I don't want this to be a long video, and it already is. So don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Okay, ew. That's gross. Anyways.